Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and professional witch, and today I'm answering the question, what does it mean when I keep pulling the same card? Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. I am offering a 12-week Tarot for Transformation live course starting at the end of September. Deep dive the first 12 of the major arcana cards with me as we embody archetypes and learn how to transform ourselves and our lives through the tarot. If you sign up by September 12th, get 25% off with code EARLYBIRD. Check out the full details with the link in the show notes. If you're interested in crafting your own tarot cards, summer is ending for you and you're hopping into fall and looking for more creative ideas, you can go ahead and get my full workshop that teaches you how to create your own cards, including an hour-long recording, my step-by-step method, examples of the cards I've created, journaling questions, and a PDF to walk you through it for just $33. The link is in the show notes to purchase that now. I just updated my Patreon benefits to be bigger and better than ever, so if you want an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast, join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family at the Lovers level. If you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch level on the Patreon. And I recently did a new moon in Virgo collective tarot reading on August 21st as the new moon entered Virgo. So that is where, if you join the Patreon at the Lovers level, I would be pulling an individual card for you after the collective tarot reading each time. If you didn't get a chance to check out the collective tarot reading live when I did it, the replay is in the show notes, and you can always find it on my Instagram or YouTube channel as well. If you're local to the greater Puget Sound area, you can join us at our next Let's Talk Tarot meetup group event. Come chat with other tarot enthusiasts, bring your favorite decks, and play with tarot and oracle decks with us. I will also be hosting a virtual tarot card crafting event again soon. It will sort of be a just like co-crafting space in the vein of like co-working or like a Stitch and Bitch like that, and we'll bring all our own materials, meet online, and go through some crafting together. If you're interested in celebrating the full moon, I'm holding a full moon women's circles for the rest of 2025 in person. So if you're local to me, you can join my colleague Izzy and I under the glow of the full moon for an evening of connection, reflection, and ritual. This gathering is a space for all women. We'll be meeting at Thresholds Collective in Tacoma the first Sunday of the month to welcome in the full moon together. So upcoming dates are September 7th, October 5th, November 2nd, and December 7th. And if you pay for the 4 circles in advance altogether, you can get a 10% discount. If you are interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you, my lovely listeners, at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date information on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. And if you don't already know, I am a sex and relationships therapist and coach, seeing clients virtually all over from my home office. I love working with queer, poly, and witchy clients. So if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. You can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. All right, so welcome to season 14. I just wrapped up season 13 where I was talking all about divination in the Harry Potter series. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. In season 1, I talked tarot basics. In season 5, I went through 13 common tarot spreads. Season 10, I talked tarot and witchcraft. Season 11, tarot and plant allies, and season 12, tarot and animals. So like I said, we are now here in season 14, where I'm answering all your frequently asked tarot questions. So today I'm answering the question, okay, what does it mean when I keep pulling the same card? Some people I learned call this a stalker card, which was interesting to me. I don't think I'd heard that term before. So I'm going to be reading from a couple different blogs today. I also have my own opinions about what it means when you pull the same card, but on lamusidesign.com, a blog about why do I keep getting the same tarot cards, they talk about. So, and I'm sure, again, if you've had your own deck, or even if you get readings done, you've probably experienced the situation of getting the same tarot card over and over. Maybe, early on in your journey, you didn't recognize it, or you did tarot infrequently enough that maybe, right, it just didn't happen as much. But if you start reading tarot consistently, or again, even just kind of pull like a card a day, or, even get readings done, you might have some of the same cards come up for you. And I think for me, I've had that experience before where it felt like a card was like haunting me or like stalking. Those words are helpful to kind of think about it. But I hadn't really experienced or hadn't like acknowledged how maybe it felt as strongly until I started reading for other people, where I really got the impression that when I would read for other people, I would be like, wow, I have never had that card come up for me. Where even if you're using the same deck, right? I use the same, I have 10 decks now, but when I first started, I just had a couple or, one for a while. And, maybe I'd pull the same card like a couple times, but not usually like an everyday thing. But it just really made me, recognize like how cards come up for certain people, or even just that like I can have the same deck. I can look through every single card, right? When I get the deck multiple times when I'm shuffling, but there are just some cards that like don't come out for me. And again, like depends on the deck, but when I read for other people, even just like casually for friends or other things, I just had this experience of like, oh, I thought I knew this deck, and now it's like showing up in this very different way for someone else. And I think that's really cool. But I think it also really solidified for me of like, wow, this is real, which is silly, because I very much believe in tarot as like a mirror, that it takes on our energy and things like that, and that it can be this helpful, like reflective back to you, thinking about the future paths. But yeah, it wasn't really until I read for other people that I was like, wow, okay, like interesting that like other people would be like, oh, I got that card all the time. Like, even if they've never used the same deck before and only gotten readings done, or even like, okay, maybe I read for myself and then I read for 2 of my friends, all with the same deck. And we all had like wildly different experiences of what cards were pulled. So I just share that to say like, it also, I feel like this goes in the same vein of it, of like, you have to recognize if you're getting the same card all the time. And like every tarot book or course will tell you to like do your tarot journaling so that you can like recognize these patterns. And like, sure, that's super helpful, but honestly, like, I've never been good at like keeping a journal about it, which is hilarious now thinking about the fact that I record podcast episodes like every day about tarot. But for me, like the way I keep a record is like I take a picture. And whenever I read for other people, casually or paid, I'm always like, just take a picture. Again, like most of us have our smartphones. We can, look through our photos later, but that can just be a really helpful and easy way to, oh, I thought I pulled this card last week. Like, did I? Or if you do a spread, right? Like, it's great if you write it down and you keep a journal like that. But for me, keeping a journal of all the tarot cards I had pulled is like an inhibitor to my ability to do tarot. Like, I will just pull a lot of cards. I'll pull it quickly. And I feel like by the time I end up writing the whole thing out, like, I don't know. It just didn't really work for me. I do it occasionally when I'm doing spreads at like a certain time of year, like a bigger spread that maybe I do want to reflect on. But for me, most of the time, I shuffle my cards, I pull them, I look at them, I get information from them like in the moment, and then like I'm good. I take a photo, and then maybe I come back to it later, or maybe not. Often not, I would say. But I'm, as a very visual person too, like there's just certain cards I can picture in my head and be like, oh yeah, I pulled that last week. So anyway, so there's that. But yeah, so I would say, if you keep pulling the same card, like, don't be afraid. You can look at the card, pay attention to maybe like the symbols on it. Is there like a certain thing that's catching your attention? Like, is it like the bull on the world card, or like the lion on the strength card, or the black cat on the Queen of Wands? Like, and then maybe look into those symbols. Again, like I have a whole season on tarot and animals and tarot and plants. So if you have like a plant or an animal or things like that come up, like feel free to refer to my season about those animals and kind of like where they show up in tarot, and also what their like animal meanings are. They're kind of like spirit animal aspects of them are. You can always check out numerology as well, because like numbers are also a symbol. I recently did a numerology episode at the end of last season when I was talking about different divination that comes up in the Harry Potter series. So if you want an overview on numerology, you can check that one out. Another thing that can sometimes happen is you're asking the same question. Again, sometimes, especially when we're new, I think like we ask the same question, and maybe if we like don't get the answer we like, we maybe ask the question again later, or try to get a different answer to see. But often, we might get the same card again. So sometimes, that might be an indication that you can ask for a clarifier card. If you're like, okay, I feel like maybe I'm even asking different questions, but I keep getting the same card. Like, what do I need to know from this? Why does this keep coming up? Like, you could ask that. So drawing another card and asking like, can you clarify something like that? But really like maybe asking a different question is also, or taking like the answer to heart. Like maybe it's not really what you want to hear. In my tarot and pop culture season, I talked a lot about that, because tarot and pop culture is very often people that see things that they don't want to hear, or they don't really believe in tarot, and then they get a tarot reading in like a movie or a TV show, and it's very dramatic, and they're like, oh my god, I got the death card, I'm gonna die, like that. And so some of it can be like, what does it mean to you, to pull this card? Also like trust your intuition. Like, what are you feeling? How does the card make you feel? Maybe even getting the same card, it might feel different on different days. I've definitely had that with cards, where sometimes they mean a certain thing to me, but maybe again later like a different thing stands out. It could also be that like when you read the meaning of the card, maybe it's like, oh, that doesn't really feel right. But when you like look at the imagery, or what you sort of are reminded of, like trying to think of like a abstract example, but like, oh, this one has like a dove on it, and doves remind me of like my grandmother because I associate it with this thing. Like, that might not be in your tarot guidebook, but you can trust yourself too, that like, okay, maybe that's what this is about, that maybe this is like a sign or a symbol or a message from her. Again, I talked about other types of divination on the first episode of this season, so you can check that out as well if you want to think about like other things, or how to get in touch with guides or ancestors. Like, check out my other episodes this season for different questions to talk about that as well. If you do want to like, if you're like, oh, my grandma keeps coming through as a dove, like what's that about? Check out that episode. Maybe the cards are telling you to like take an action or not do anything, or to do something else. So like example, the 9 of Swords may be telling you like you're overthinking things, Swords are about intellect, anxiety, overthinking. Maybe you're worrying too much and that you just need to let it go, Like, you can also like, again, if you keep pulling the same card, like maybe set the cards aside for a bit. Maybe, right, it's feeling like, oh, I just keep getting like beat over the head with this message and I don't know what it means, or like I'm frustrated by it. Like maybe take a break. And yeah, and again, maybe like sometimes we're maybe asking the same question, but you can try out like a different deck. Maybe there's like a different way that the message can come through that might be easier to hear or understand. But again, like if you're not getting the message that I would believe that the universe is trying to send you, the tarot, right, even if you ask different questions, they might pop out the same card as a like sort of, again, like beat you over the head with that message of like, no, you need to hear this, right? Like sometimes we can say that like, oh, it's teasing us or we're being read to filth. Like again, sometimes that can be hard on ourselves, right? It can feel like, okay, like I get it. But then actually following up or doing the thing can feel challenging. Maybe like take a break for a bit. Like don't read your cards for a day or two, like cleanse your cards and yourself, like, put them aside, or like, yeah, like talk to another person, go maybe get a reading done, or like do something that just like changes it up a bit. I would just say also that, yeah, like sometimes like it's just like this is a strong message and that's why we're getting it. So on the antiflow.com website, about when the same tarot card keeps coming up, they talk about, right, okay, you draw the same card numerous occasions, maybe in the same pattern, right? You draw it in the same spread, or the same cards 2 or more days in a row. Right, so if we think about the actual like statistics about pulling the same tarot card in a deck in 2 separate shuffles, if we have like a 78 card deck, which is standard, that is 1 in 6,084 chances. So pretty rare, I would say, right? It's not 1 in 10,000. It's not 1 in 100 or 1 in 10. It's 1 in 6,000, which is a lot. So, right, it can feel, right, maybe that is helpful. Maybe that's not helpful. But also you can just think about that, yeah, like it's pretty rare to pull, statistically, to pull the same combination of cards or the same card out of a deck at random. So, right, it probably means something is what I would say. Again, if you believe in tarot and you're reading tarot cards, like you probably also agree it means something. I often will draw the same combinations or the same cards in the same positions. Like I said, when I read for other people, it like gave me helpful clarity to be like, oh, actually, like it helped me see that I pull the same cards all the time, because I was like, oh, I've had this deck for 6 years and I've like never pulled that card, but when I would pull it for other people. So I think like, right, maybe spirit is speaking through this combination of cards for you. There's also, I would say, like the vibe, like again, like one of the first times, I think probably the first time I ever read for someone else, I went on a hike with my friends, and then we went to a coffee shop afterwards, and I brought my tarot cards because they had seen on Instagram that I post tarot occasionally. They were like, wait, read for us. And so I remember being in this, like, we were sitting around a fireplace in a coffee shop in like wintry Seattle rain weather. It was like a disgusting hike. We were so wet, drying out by the fire, and I was pulling cards for them. And my one friend is Italian from Italy, and I read, I think, for my other friend first, and then I read for her, and she had this reaction of like, oh, these cards are so intense, like why do I always get intense cards? And I just thought it was interesting, because she again was sort of like, oh, like this always happens to me. And to me I was like, oh, well, like culturally you have like intense energy, and like that's okay. Like it's fine. Like people, right, the way that we interpret things and just the way that messaging comes through to us, in my opinion, from like spirit guides or from the universe, like is the way that we can interpret it and handle it. So sometimes some people get more intense readings or cards than others. Again, as someone who has like 10 different decks now, I also feel like every deck has a different vibe. When I had a vendor booth this year at Tacoma Pride. So at my local Pride celebration, I had my podcast up there and I was just kind of like casually pulling cards for folks. And I had people pick which deck was like speaking to them, because I had a couple there. I didn't have all of them, but I had a couple of them there. And it was just very interesting, right? Even the deck that you choose, right, based on the imagery or the vibe, right, is probably going to also interpret the message in a certain way. So it's very interesting to see like what people like. There was a specific deck that got picked a lot. There were some that was like, oh, this is like a more intense energy. I think all of that can go with it. But anyway, let's get back to the Stalker card, the repeated card, and what it means. Right, it could be like your cards haven't been shuffled well, right? Like the probability of the same card appearing like might be high, but if we've shuffled a couple times, again, like the probability is very low that you're going to pull the same card at like a random situation. So like, what is this card trying to tell you? This blog, I'll link it, but they put every single card and what they think it, you know, sort of means if you're pulling it a lot. So I'll share some of like the major arcana ones because I think it's interesting. So like the Fool, when repeated in a reading, could be like, you know, something new beginning, like suggest taking risks, trusting your intuition to guide you on a path. The Lovers, if it kept coming out in a reading, it could be like your relationships are going to improve, or maybe there's choice involved or decisions involving two options or feelings, or right, that making decisions aligned with our own values rather than going along with someone else wants to out of convenience. If the Chariot kept coming out, like things are going towards victory, right? Blazing ahead. Also sometimes when travel is involved, right? Again, if you think about a literal chariot, like going great distances. What else? Death, right? Could mean like literal death. Could be about transformation cycles, renewings, endings, transitions. Spirit moving over offers like chances to start fresh, rebirth. Yeah, the World, completion, end cycles, right? We know a lot of these things, but yeah, it's just, right, it also depends on the card, like what card's coming up all the time. Let's see. What else do I want to share? On cauldronsandcupcakes.com, under an article entitled, "What does it mean when you keep pulling the same oracle or tarot card?" They had someone write in that says, "I think all my oracle and tarot decks must be broken. I keep pulling the same card almost every week. It's been happening for me since mid last year. When I go to another deck, I pull a card that almost has the same messages or the same image. How do I fix it? Do I need to throw them away and buy new cards?" No, you don't. I would say often, again, that means like you aren't following the directions of the card. Maybe that's rude, but like, right, okay, so the card they share here, it was Rest from a self-care deck. Then there's like another image about dreams, and when you look at the imagery, it's like very similar. So maybe your deck's not broken, maybe you don't need a new one, maybe you just need to pay better attention. Like usually it's because we haven't yet fully understood or integrated the message, right? Maybe there's still more work to do. Again, like as a therapist, I'm like, therapy is work, right? Doing tarot is also work, or at least like, I think if you're doing it in the most helpful way to your higher self, or like to sort of grow or transform, join my Tarot for Transformation course if you're interested in more. But right, if you're using it as a tool of like self-growth and learning, like we have to actually embody what we're learning. We can't just pull cards, I was going to say, for funsies and then like act like it doesn't mean anything, right? Like again, like it's going to feel like you got hit like a brick to the face. And sometimes, right, having another deck and then pulling similar imagery can be helpful because it's like, okay, it's not just this deck, right? Like, what is the card trying to show me right now? Like, what obstacles are blocking my path, right? What opportunities are presented by this situation? What is my best way forward? So, right, that could be another way to ask about like why. So you could literally do a reading about why the card is appearing. So, right, doing like basically a whole spread. So they do have a video in this article about the spread. So doing like a clarifying card or a repeating tarot oracle card. Again, use the tools you have. Do a tarot spread. Why is this card coming up? What do I still need to learn? What am I not integrating? What message does this have for me? And then finally on labyrinthos.com, let's see if there's anything else to add. Okay, so they have another spread. So it says the first card could be the Stalker card. What do I need to learn? What is the message I'm finding so hard to learn? 2, what blocks me from understanding this card? What's standing in the way of my ability to receive the message of this card? 3, how do I progress past this? How do I conquer the obstacle? What guidance do I need to finally hear the message? And 4, what unconscious or hidden factors are there? What is something that is unseen that affects your perception of the message? So again, you can literally do a spread about the repeating tarot card if you really want, again, more imagery. Like it can feel unnerving to like get the same card all the time, or like it can feel like it's stalking you or haunting you. But again, like my general advice would be like something needs to be addressed still, something that requires your attention. Like if you don't know what it is or you don't understand it, right, maybe doing a tarot spread to figure it out, if tarot is the tool you would like to use, could be helpful. And again, like a clarifying card is the same idea. It's pulling a card, right? Asking another question. Why do I still need to hear this message? I thought I integrated it. Like, what now? And obviously it's kind of like meta. You're doing a tarot spread about a tarot card. But yeah, sometimes we just get stuck in like fear or like a certain pattern, or it's hard to, right, follow the advice, right? Or do the thing, right? Sometimes we're like, yeah, okay, sounds great, I'll definitely do that. And then, you know, we don't do it. And then a week later, we're pulling another spread and we're like, weird, why is this still coming up? I thought I like thought about it. And isn't that enough? Well, thinking is one mental plane. The mental plane is one. We also have emotional and physical and spiritual planes. And so, or energetic planes, right? Like sometimes maybe we've worked on something, again, in journaling or like in talking it out, which is one way of doing it. But like, have you, embodied it, literally? Have you moved your body around that thing? Have you worked through the emotion? Have you processed? Have you screamed about it? Have you, right? Like there are these other ways of integrating or releasing things that can be helpful. Sometimes in US culture, there is just this tendency to like intellectualize everything and just be like, oh yeah, we just have to talk about it, think about it, write about it, journal about it, talk about it in therapy, and like that's enough. Well, talking about it is like step 1 sometimes, and then there's like all these other things so we have to do to actually like work through it. Being aware, noticing, right, is step 1, and then more comes after that. So let's pull a card. Let's see if it's a Stalker card. I'm gonna grab a deck. I'm going to pull the Herb Crafters Tarot, or from the Herb Crafters Tarot, which is artwork by Joanna Powell Colbert, written by Letitia Guthrie. I'm still getting to know this deck, so I don't know if I've had any Stalker cards yet, but I've been pulling from it a good bit recently, so we'll see. We'll see if I get another card. But yeah, what message do we need to hear about cards that are haunting us or stalking us or keep coming up? How do we integrate into that? Okay. Oh, I've not had this card before. Okay, I got Cattail, which is the 6 of air, which if you wanted to translate it would be like the 6 of swords, I believe, as the air sign. Yeah, and this is the plant, Cattail, 6 of air. So let's see, what message do we need to hear? Question your assumptions. Perfect. Gain clarity through articulating your visions in writing. Hilarious. And support others into setting intentions for change. Okay, so the card depicts a table in the afternoon sun is covered in sheets of handmade paper for writing prayer petitions with friends. Cattails grow along the border of a nearby marsh. Crow, owl, and heron feathers are gathered in the glasses. A jar of walnut ink is open, ready to document devotions. Clarity can be found in the mire. Cattail, often seen as invasive, creates a stronger ecosystem by cleaning and purifying an area, making it more habitable for life. Open yourself to new ways to pray. Ask for help from your community when you need it. Adjust your expectations and challenge your current way of thinking. As cattail seeds are carried by the wind, trust spirit to carry your visions towards a greater good. Cattail is sometimes called the supermarket of the wild for its many uses: food, shelter, clothing, fuel, and medicine. Be the resource of the spirit. Look for myriad ways to be of service to the need of others. So if you want to do some crafting with cattail as a way to integrate or embody this message, you could learn to make botanical paper from cattails and use it for journal writing. You could write a single petition to a holy helper, then burn the paper, letting your prayers rise. Or you could gather friends on a new moon and support each other in setting new intentions. Lovely. I thought that the top messages were hilarious. As I talked about, what message are we getting? Question your assumptions. Gain clarity through articulating your visions in writing, right? Or asking clarifying questions, and support others in setting intentions for change, which can also be, right, like tarot spreads, or just saying like, hey, you're getting this message all the time. Like, is there any way I can support you in integrating this, or in like helping keep you accountable? Things like that. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. If you'd like to join me on the journey of using the tarot for transformation, you want to further your practice, think about this whole self-growth thing I'm talking about, the link will be in the show notes for that. We'll be working together for 12 weeks of calls and journaling to discover what happens when we want to transform our lives through the tarot. Links for the tarot decks I talk about in the episodes will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com, with your thoughts, questions, and more. And I would love to know what card is haunting you or has haunted you before. I think it'd be super interesting to see if people have the same cards. So, all right, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.